Well, hello. We currently have a storm coming in, so a lot of people have decided to not go out this weekend. But I thought it'd be a good opportunity to have a look at weather. There are many sources of weather that we can access, very readily available, internet, apps, all sorts. We're going to have a look at a few of the more popular ones. So, the first one we're going to have a look at is one called Wind Guru. Wind Guru is very straightforward, nice representation of colours, arrows for direction of wind. It's also got wave heights, temperatures, etc. You can go ahead for about a week, and it also gives you some tidal information as well. A lot of the weather apps will also, if they're designed for marine environments, will give you tidal information. In this case, I've set this one to, well, it says for Clevedon, North Somerset, and it's showing that it's 3 knots. But later on today, we've got the Saturday one here, and it's saying about 1 o'clock, we're going to have wind speed of 18 to 28 knots in wind gusts. The direction is going to be from the south-southwest, and as you go through the evening, it shows you going gusting up to about 33. So that's Wind Guru. Another one we can look at is XC Weather. This one is represented in miles per hour, set for Cardiff, and again, clear representation in terms of colour and arrows for direction of wind. It will also give you the rain information and a representation of whether it's going to be cloudy or sunny. It's very simple to use. Whichever one you choose to use, always just make sure that you actually back it up with something else. Another one that we're looking at is Windy. Windy is great. I find it really good for your general wind directions. Again, colour representing strength and a good indication of where the wind is going to come from. You have stuff on here like a weather radar. If you press the enter button, it will show you the weather radar. We can also do stuff like temperature, rain and thunder, and an overall weather radar. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We'll have a look at the online versions first before we go to the apps. Right. So we've had 3 there for weather. Let's have a look at one for tides. This is all part of your passage planning that you should be doing. So we need to know what the tide is going to be. We need to know what the weather is going to be before we go anywhere. Admiralty Easy Tide, very simple. We've got the Cardiff port selected, and these arrows and dots, markers, they are all around the coast. So you can find the tide times for any of those ports. We don't need to go and look at what a secondary port is. We don't need to go working out secondary port calculations. This does it for you. So I tell you what, let's go to today. Right, sorry. That will show that low water is at 1425 with a high water at 2029. And it also gives us our range of 7.1 meters. It will give you a tidal curve, which will show the times along the bottom and where the tide is going to be at those times. Again, on the bottom, if we have a look here, right, and we will see that at 1430, we have 1 meter above chart datum. That matches the representation that's on the screen. And we can go through and show at any time what depth of tide we're going to have at that given point. Very easy, very simple to use. Others are available. I often just punch in tide times and up will come 3 or 4 different apps, all of which will give me a tidal prediction. The other things that we're going to use and what we've been looking at is stuff like our Garmin apps. On our Garmin app here, it will show you the tidal flows. The tidal flows are going down and you can see them there. We can click on one, click on the question mark that's alongside it, and it will show us that on that particular tidal mark at this moment in time, we've got 2.8 knots of tide. The bar along the bottom, if we move it, it will show that the tide will change and also the flow will change. So when we've got a tide coming in or out, this will show where that tide is going and what it's doing. And you can click on any of these markers along here and that will show it. Let's go down to this area by here. Let's have a look. Ilfracombe, weather and tides. Okay, in this area here, we've got Porlock Weir. We can click on that and that will actually give us the tidal heights. So for Porlock Weir, at the moment, we currently have 4.2 meters of tide. Again, on the cursor on the bottom, we can move it along and it will show us where the tide is moving. So if we go to 56, we will have 10.2 meters of tide. There we go, 10 meters. So this is working it out for you. Always check it, but these are fairly accurate. So it'll show you what tide we've got. If you've also noticed the blue area, the shallow area, we've got that set for different levels. So for instance, we've got a 7 meter contour line and we've got a 5 meter contour line all there. Those ones will change based on how we move this. So as you will see, it's not drying, it goes in there and then that becomes a shallow area. Very nice and simple. And again, we can come out here and we can go, actually, what's the tide going to be down here? Click on that, boom, and it will give us our weather. So we've clicked on weather and that has come for that area that we've marked, the weather and the tides. Again, we can scroll through and it will show you at different times what the tide and the weather is going to be. As it's seeing here, we're looking at about 36 knots of wind later on. Tidal flow is coming up from the southwest and then the tide will change between 8 and 9 o'clock. A little bit further down, we've also got our basic weather, and it is basic weather there. Just a representation of cloud or rain. So tides, very simple. That will show you where our tides are and where our tidal heights are. Our currents there will show you the flow of our current and where they are, whether you're north of the channel or whether you're south of the channel. Again, simple and nice, easy things to know. Let's go and have a look at Savvy Navi now. On Savvy Navi, this is the current. I've got the current set there. I can take the current off and put the wind on. That will show you where the wind is going. We can also look at taking that off and come down here to tides. So the tide in Watchet in this case is 4.6 meters at the moment. If I click on an area in the center and go for weather, it will show that that area is a strong breeze and gusty. I can move this cursor along and it will show that it's actually getting stronger. Our wind gusts are going up to 45 knots. Our normal average is about 31. The other thing I can do with this is I can scroll up. That will also give me a bit of a forecast. It tells me what's coming up ahead. So I can use the apps in a very constructive way. There's a lot of information in them. So I hope that's given you some idea. We can use many sources for finding out where our tidal information is, where our weather information is. Have a look at a couple of them. See which one suits you best. See which one you get on with. If it's a clear information from the likes of Savvy Navi or the information from Navionics, back it up with some of the other information from Admiralty Easy Tide or Wind Guru, that type of stuff. Have a look at it. But whatever you do, make sure that before you set off, you've got all the information there for your tides and your weather. Stay safe on the water and we'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye.